Dear friends, I am Santosha. Now we are going to discuss about the separation of mixture. So the separation of the mixture depends on the nature of its constituents. So many methods. There are many methods to separate the mixtures. In which first one is the filtration. Filtration. You know what is filtration? Filtration is a process in which the solute and the solvent are separated using the filter paper. As you know, from the name it is clear. Filtration means in this process we use the filter paper. We use filter paper. We use filter paper. In this method we use filter paper. So in filtration method, filtration is a process in which solute and solvent are separated using the filter paper. So the substances which is not soluble and remain behind on the filter paper is called residue. Is called residue, and while the one which is filtered out is called filtrate. So keep in mind, if we take one glass of water and add sand, some amount of sand in water, and stir it with the help of the glass rod, then we get the solution. We get the solution. After sometimes we filter it with the help of the filter. We keep one filter paper in the funnel, okay, and then start pouring the solution into the funnel. Then after some times we see the residue, means the solvent, the substance which is not soluble and remain behind on the filter paper is called residue. That is called residue. So sand, sand is a not soluble in water, so it is called residue, and it remains behind on the filter paper, because water is a filtrate, and while the one which is filtered out is called filtrate. Understood? You can see this figure: liquid and insoluble solid. So we use funnel and filter paper. We put filter paper in the funnel, and this is conical flask. This is conical flask. You can see conical flask. Okay, so filter. This is the filtrate, and this is the residue. This is called residue. Residue means the material which remains behind in the filter paper. Which remains behind in the filter paper. Evaporation. Second is evaporation. You know what is evaporation? Evaporation is a process which is used to separate a substance that has dissolved in water. The use of the process of the evaporation for the separating of the mixture is based on the fact that liquid vaporize easily whereas solid don't vaporize easily. So we can say here, vaporization is a method. Vaporization is a process which is used to separate a substance that has dissolved in water. Dissolved in water. Evaporation. You know, I'll tell you one example. Uh, if we add salt in water, then salt will dissolve in water, completely dissolve in water. Then we get salt solution. And if you want to get the salt back again, then we need to do this evaporation. Okay, evaporation is used for recovering the dissolved solid substances. Evaporation is used for recovering. Recovering means to get back again from the liquid mixture, but the liquid itself cannot be recovered by this method. The liquid vaporize and get lost to the air. When we use this process, evaporation means we heat the solution. After some times, liquid, what will happen? Liquid vaporize and get lost to air, and due to evaporation, ink which is, see here another example is given. So due to evaporation, water will disappear, and finally salt will remain in the uh, flask. You can see due to the evaporation, ink, which is a mixture of dye and water, we can obtain its constituents separately. So this is the another example. If we take ink, okay, and if we evaporate it, then what will happen? Evaporate means it is ink is a which is a mixture of dye and water. So water is a liquid. Water is a liquid which get lost to the air, and we get the constituents of the dye back. That's why evaporation process is used to get the evaporation is used for recovering the dissolved solid substances from the liquid mixture. Now crystallization. What is the crystallization? Crystallization is the process of cooling a hard concentrated solution of a substance to obtain the crystals is called crystallization. The process of the crystallization is used for obtaining a pure solid substance from impure sample. Impure sample. Chromatography. So chromatography is also technique used for separation of those solute that dissolve in the same solvent in very small quantities. The most common being paper chromatography. So in this method, one paper is there that is called chromatography paper, which is used. This separation is based on the fact that though two or more substances are soluble in the same solvent, so this separation is based on the fact that though two or more substances are soluble in the same solvent, for example water, but their solubility may be different. We can see it can be used to separate dye from ink. The method for the separation is as follows. You can go through these steps, okay, and you can understand it. Take a thin and long strip of filter paper, draw a pencil line on it about 3 centimeters from one end, and put a small drop of black ink on the filter paper strip at the center of the pencil line, and let the ink dry. When the drop of the ink has dried, the filter paper strip is lowered into a tall glass jar containing some water in its lower parts. The strips should be held vertical. Vertical means like this, not like this. Vertical form. Okay. Please note that though the lower end should dip in the water, but pencil line should remain above the water level. Suppose this is water level. Okay. Water level. Please note that though the lower end should be deep in the water, deep into water, but pencil line should be above the water level. This is water level. When the water reaches the top end, the strip is removed from the jar and dried. The paper containing separation should separate colored spot is obtained. Now next one, sublimation. It is very important. Sublimation, you know what is this? This is also separation method. This is also separation method. We'll discuss later.